Richician.
Hey YouTube, Richician84 here with another video on my way to work. Now, last year you've seen my top 5 trading pet peeves, you've seen my top 5 dueling pet peeves, but now you are seeing my top 5 generalised Yu-Gi-Oh! Pet peeves, something I was thinking about doing for a while, excuse me, and now I'm just getting around to it. Like, it'll speak for itself. Let's just get on with the video. Number 5, people thinking they know everything when it comes to the ban list, when they don't. More specifically, when they say things like, oh, this card's gonna get hit, that deck's gonna get hit, this deck won't get hit, that card won't get hit. And it just annoys me, because it's like, you don't know that. Like, you can't predict the future. No one can. No one can say for sure what will get hit, what won't get hit, or what might get unbanned. I mean, maybe you'll turn out to be right, but you just don't know for sure. Like, for all we know, you could end up being completely wrong. I mean, for instance, take Sixth Sense, like, during the 3 months that we were able to play that card. I mean, people have said, oh, Sixth Sense isn't going to get banned, we've not had it that long. And what happens? It gets banned on the next list. That proves that people who say, oh, this card's not going to get hit, are not always right. And they should stop making out like they are. It just annoys me. Like, see, this is one of the reasons why I hate ban list and ban card discussions, because of stupid arguments like that. Number 2, people trying to get me to play a deck that I don't want to play. And I'm not talking about playing against certain decks. I'm talking about me physically playing said deck. Whether it's meta players trying to get me to play meta, or someone trying to get me to use one of their decks, and that actually pisses me off. Especially if it's a deck that I don't even know how to play. It's all very well saying, oh, but it's easy to play, but it's like, yeah, for you maybe, but not for me. Like, not everyone can play the same deck. There'd be a couple of times where someone would say, oh, I want to see you use my deck against this person. Why? Like, it's your deck. Why don't you play it? That would make a lot more sense. I just don't feel comfortable playing a deck that I'm not familiar with. Like, you know, unless I ask if I can borrow a deck, I'd much rather play my own decks, you know, something I feel comfortable with. And then there's going back to competitive decks, like back when I would play in tournaments, I would sometimes have someone say, oh, play my meta deck this weekend, you'll do well. And I'm like, no thank you, I'd rather use my own deck. What makes this even worse is when my usual decks would get criticised in the process, like, oh, Dark Magician is shit, E-Heroes are garbage, Rainbow Neo sucks. Like, none of those decks suck. Besides, there's no such thing as a bad deck, and I'll talk more about that in a minute. Like, I'm perfectly happy playing Dark Magician, Elemental Heroes and Rainbow Neos because I actually enjoy playing those more than anything else I've played over the years, and I've had my fair share of success in tournaments with them. I even won local tournaments with every single one of those 3 decks in the past. Well, maybe not that many, but I still won something. That proves that they don't suck. But then again, it doesn't matter anyway, because like I said, I enjoy playing them more than anything else. So screw meta. Seriously. And this brings me to the next bit. Number 3, calling cards, decks and players bad. Now, I did do a specific rant video about this 9 years ago, and I was thinking about revisiting the subject for some time, but this gives me an excuse to, especially considering that video is no longer there. Like, it just really irritates me when cards, decks and players are called bad, because like I said, there is no such thing as a bad card or a bad deck or a bad player, and anyone who says otherwise is full of shit and just being mean. Alright, yes, there are cards with unorthodox effects and activation requirements, but that doesn't make them bad, it makes them unique. I mean, you could do things with them that no one else could dream of, and it doesn't have to be competitively viable. Not everything is about being competitive. Plus, like, this could be someone's favourite card you're insulting and calling crap, and that can be really hurtful. Same goes for decks. Alright, yes, there's decks that aren't as strong as others, but again, that doesn't make them bad, and again, you could do things with those decks that no one else could think of, and again, this could be someone's favourite deck that you're calling crap, which is also hurtful. But what's more hurtful is calling a player bad. I mean, nobody likes being called a noob or a scrub or a bad player. Like, why do you have to be so nasty? Like, anyone who does this should be ashamed of themselves. Like, not everyone is on the same level. And that doesn't give you the right to call them bad. Like, this is one of those things that just divides the Yu-Gi-Oh community, and it's just saddening. Either way, there's still no such thing as a bad card, or a bad deck, or a bad player. And I say anyone who says otherwise is just full of shit. I mean, see, this is why I don't watch videos like top 10 worst cards, or something like that. It's just annoying. I mean, you could argue that in a way it's a way to encourage players to play, better cards in their decks, but you could at least be nicer about it. Don't say, oh, this card's shit, don't play it, or something like that. Something along the lines of, I wouldn't play this card because it won't help you that much. I would play this card, which will help you out a lot. See, that is acceptable, I think. Just saying. Number 2, when people argue with me over how a card works when I'm actually right and the other player is actually wrong. Now, I'm not saying this is the case all the time. I mean, there have been times where I've been wrong about a card and times where neither me or my opponent were sure how a card works, and we needed a judge to help us out. And if it turns out I'm wrong, okay, that's fine, that's fair enough. But if I know for a fact that I am right and the other player is wrong, it really pisses me off when they just continue to argue with me and insist that they're right. Whether they're arguing about my cards or their own cards. And when they argue with me about my cards and think I'm using them wrong, it just really pisses me off, and I can't help but feel offended. Just like when someone's backseat dueling my games, they're basically implying that I don't know how my own cards work, even though I actually do. It's like, I'm an experienced veteran duelist, and I'm perfectly capable of playing my own decks, and I know how my own cards work. And for someone to basically imply that otherwise just really annoys me, and it's insulting. Of course, it's also annoying if they're using their cards wrong when they insist that they're using it right, and it just annoys me so much. Like when it comes to how things like advanced ritual art, red ice fusion, and discarding works, or most notably summon negation cards. Like, this really annoys me when they think it can stop cards summoned through a card effect, like fusion summons, for instance, when in actuality it doesn't. If you're not sure why it doesn't, well, it's complicated to explain, but to try and put it simply, it's because the effect of that card is still resolving upon the summon. So summon negation cards, like Black Horn of Heaven, Solemn Warning, cannot be activated at that time. So basically, it's another way of saying it misses the timing. And there've been too many situations in the past where I've fusion summoned something like Rainbow Neos or Elements where absolute zero to go Thunder King, negate, or Solemn Warning, negate, and I'm like, you can't. And they're like, why not? And I have to explain that ruling. And even when they don't argue that they can do it, they also go like, fine, and negate the polymerization then, which really pisses me off, because now they know I have the fusion materials in my hand, and they have knowledge that they shouldn't even have, which gives them an unfair advantage, which they could capitalise on if they want to. Now I could just say to them, no, fuck off, I'm not allowing that, you were too late to respond, but then I'd be no better, because then I would have the unfair knowledge and advantage that there's a solemn face now, and it's like, what do you even do in that situation? Do I play around it, or do I carry on playing as if I don't know it's there? Seriously, how do you even resolve that issue? It's just annoying, as well. While it is the player's responsibility to know how their own cards work, at the same time, it's just annoying that summon negation cards have been worded in a misleading way. Based on how they're worded, we've all made this mistake, to be fair. It does look like it can negate any special summon. Why couldn't they have just said negate a special summon except through a card effect? That would have made things a lot more easier, and it would have caused less misplays, less arguments, and, less mistakes that mess up the game state. Just saying. And finally, in at number 1, my biggest generalised pet peeve is when people try and change my mind and force their opinions onto me. Now, this usually happens whenever I rant about a card or a deck that I hate, or rant about ban list changes that I don't like, or voice opinions on banned cards. And it just... this just really pisses me off. Seriously, the things people have said over the years, it's like I'm just not allowed to have an opinion of my own. Now, I'm fine with people disagreeing with me, but not to the point where they feel the need to change my mind and force their opinions onto me. Because, I'm a human being with free will. I'm not some robot or computer that you can just reprogram. I have every right to my own opinion, even if no one else agrees with it. And if you don't agree with me about anything, in this case, Yu-Gi-Oh! Related matters, fine, fair enough. Let's just agree to disagree and get on with our lives, but don't waste your time and my time trying to change my mind and force your opinions onto me, because it's not going to happen, ever. Plus, it also annoys me when people continue to argue with me over something, even when I'm trying to either prevent an argument or end it. And it's like, oh, for fuck's sake, just shut up and give it a rest. See, this is exactly why I hardly ever do rant videos anymore, why I was hesitant to do those top hated videos, why I don't do full-on ban list opinion videos or ban list wish list videos, and why I don't get involved in ban list discussions unless I'm filming a reaction, and why I hate banned card discussions, because every time I do any of these, I just get attacked and criticised over it, all just because I voiced my own opinion. This is also why I disabled the comments on my Dark Magician deck profiles. And just stopped doing those twice before being convinced to do them again. Just because I was just getting sick and tired of the Dragoon debate. Yeah, just all these things just aren't worth the aggro. Anyway, that's it for this video. Those are my top 5 generalised Yu-Gi-Oh! Pet peeves. Thanks for watching, stay safe, and I'll catch you guys later. See ya. Thank you very much for watching. Be sure to subscribe to the Dark Richician YouTube channel.